8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The President says Sri Lanka will implement an international trade coordinating office to ease the trade agreements and economic partnership complexities. The Australian government has come forward to provide more military training to Sri Lankan security forces in Australia. Two newly appointed ambassadors to Sri Lanka handed over their credentials to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat today. The chairman of the Elections Commission expresses confidence that local government elections will be held before the 20th of March 2023. The USAID will provide an additional estimated $65 million in assistance to Sri Lanka over a period of 5 years. The Sri Lankan squad for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup announced. In news overseas, an enormous fire has engulfed a skyscraper in China. And in sports news, Manchester City forward Erling Haaland has been named the Premier League's Player of the Month. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe states that Sri Lanka will implement an international trade coordinating office. Steps will be taken to upgrade the international trade and the agreements with complex economic and technical partnerships. It is also reported that there are obstacles to develop investment opportunities over Indo-Lanka economic arena. However, the President expressed confidence that these challenges should be overcome through the new coordinating office. Investment projects already being signed with India and delayed has to be expedited. Much focus is drawn to promote investments by Indian higher education institutes in Sri Lanka. The President also made these views while participating in an event organized by the Indus-Lawn Friendship Organization today. The Australian government has come forward to provide more military training to Sri Lankan security forces in Australia. This was revealed at a meeting between the new Australian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, His Excellency Paul Stevens, and the Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne. Both parties paid attention in conducting joint Navy exercises between Australia and Sri Lanka. The meeting also focused on developing bilateral ties on military training, logistics, technology, and other related matters. Two newly appointed ambassadors to Sri Lanka handed over their credentials to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat today. Accordingly, the new Dutch ambassador to Sri Lanka, Boni Hobak, and the Saudi Arabian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Khalid Hamoud Nazir Al-Hasan Al-Khattani, handed over their credentials today. This is a news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The chairman of the Elections Commission, Nimal Punchiheva, said that local government elections will be held before the 20th of March 2023. The election date will be informed immediately after new registration of voters are completed. Several measures will be taken to streamline the process of election propaganda campaigns and to prevent the use of public properties in campaigns, he further added. The Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government says that steps will be taken to upgrade the urban councils of all major cities to municipal councils of all administrative districts. This is implemented under the guidance of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Accordingly, the urban councils in Vavuniya, Kalutara, Kagalla, Puttalam, Trincomalee, Ampara and Mannar will be upgraded to municipal councils in due course. The relevant gazette notification will be published in the near future. Sri Lanka Cricket today announced the squad selected by its selection committee to take part in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2022. The Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs, Rohan Ranasinghe, has given his approval for the squad. The tournament will take place in Australia from the 16th of October to the 13th of November 2022. And the squad will be headed by Dasun Shanaka, and the other players are Danushka Gunathilaka, Pathum Nisanka, Kusal Mendes, who would be the wicket keeper, Sharat Asalanka, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, also the wicketkeeper and batsman, Dhananjaya De Silva, Vanindu Hasaranga, Mahesh Tishchana, Jeffrey Vandase, Shamika Gunaratne, Dushmanta Chamira, subject to fitness, Lahir Kumara, also subject to fitness, Dilshan Madhushankar, and Pramod Madhushan. And to conclude the local news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The president says Sri Lanka will implement an international trade coordinating office to ease the trade agreements and economic partnership complexities. The Australian government has come forward to provide more military training to Sri Lankan security forces in Australia. 2 newly appointed ambassadors to Sri Lanka handed over their credentials to the president at the Presidential Secretariat today. The chairman of the Elections Commission expresses confidence that the local government elections will be held before the 30th of March 2023. The US aid will provide an additional estimated $65 million in assistance to Sri Lanka over a period of 5 years. The Sri Lankan squad for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup announced. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, building on the USAID Administrator Samantha Power's recent visit, the US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, has announced today that the United States, through USAID, will provide an additional estimated $65 million in assistance to Sri Lanka over a period of 5 years. This aid program falls under the Development Objective Assistance Agreement signed by Mission Director for USAID Sri Lanka and the Maldives and the Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And in Watchlight tonight, Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka recently announced a hotline that is 0775 687387 to address the inquiries by consumers related to the recent electricity tariff hikes in the country. The PCUSL Chairman Janaka Ratnaka said that measures were taken considering the increasing number of complaints that has been received on the calculation of the new electricity tariff. The main objective is to make sure that there is a smooth transition and help consumers in every way that it can convince the general public the electricity bills, tariff calculation and minimize the issues that consumers face. The regulator approved a new electricity tariff revision providing relief to domestic electricity consumers from the 10th of August 2022 after receiving comments from the public and other stakeholders through a public consultation process. In addition to this service, the public and the stakeholders can connect with the PUCSL by calling the number 0112 392607 or 0112 392608 and also emailing info@pucsl.gov.lk or consumers@pucsl.gov.lk or through www.facebook.com/PUCSL. That was in Watchlight, and now let's move on to the headlines of the world news. An enormous fire has engulfed a skyscraper in China. Berlin has taken control of the German operations of the Russian oil firm Rosneft. An engine fire sparked a rush to evacuate an Air India Express plane that was preparing to take off from Oman. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the world news. An enormous fire has engulfed a skyscraper in the Chinese city of Changsha, state media reports. Footage posted on social media showed massive flames racing up the 42-story building side as office workers rushed to evacuate the building. Thick clouds of black smoke billowed out of the structure, which is a regional office for China's telecom. Authorities said that the flames have since been extinguished and there is no casualties yet reported. Berlin has taken control of the German operations of the Russian oil firm Rosneft to secure energy supplies, which have been disrupted after Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Economy ministers said in a statement on Friday that Rosneft's German subsidiaries, which accounted for about 12% of the oil refinery capacity in the country, were placed under the trusteeship of the Federal Network Agency. An engine fire sparked a rush to evacuate an Air India Express plane that was preparing to take off from Oman. and this left some passengers with light injuries, the officials said on Wednesday. Footage aired by Omani TV showed smoke billowing from the plane, which had been taxiing for departure for Kochi in India's south as passengers streamed across the tarmac. Some of the 141 passengers received minor bruises, the airline said, adding there was no fire warning in the cockpit and the smoke was spotted by another aircraft. That was the world news, and now let's get on to the development news. The government has initiated a special program to promote prawn production. Accordingly, 2,000 mud ponds and lagoons will be developed in the island with wide locations. The prawn exporters will be provided with soft loans and other loan facilities. The expected export income from this industry would be around $550 million. And that was the development news.
Sports News is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, Manchester City forward Erling Haaland has been named as the Premier League's Player of the Month for August after scoring 9 goals in 5 games in a brilliant start to his career in England. Haaland, aged 22, bagged a brace on his league debut against West Ham United and scored once at Newcastle United before hitting consecutive hat-tricks against Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest as City won the 4 of their opening 5 games. That was in soccer news. Let's move on to tennis news. As Roger Federer joined Serena Williams in bringing the curtains down on an illustrious career, tennis moved ever closer to the end of a golden era. Williams' emotional goodbye at the US Open earlier this month was followed by Federer's announcement on Thursday that week's Lever Cup in London would be his final last professional outing. Both players had taken part and taken the sports to new levels and had been proclaimed the best ever to wield a racket, with 43 Grand Slam singles titles between them. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Amana Bank recently partnered with the United Nations Development Programme UNDP in Sri Lanka to channel support through the recently launched private sector giving facility for emergency relief initiated towards overcoming the rising challenges of severe medical and food supply shortages due to the ongoing economic crisis. Pledging support to this initiative, Amana Bank joins hands with many other leading corporates including Hemas Holdings, Dilma Ceylon Tea, Brandix, Daras and City Foundations, through whose collaboration UNDP will secure contributions towards procurement of medical supplies and address food security needs. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by...
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
Economic News, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, Colombo Bourse continued its upward momentum, passing the 10,000 mark yesterday with healthy turnovers led by index-heavy shares with the participation of foreign and local investors. Thus, the all-share price index increased by 158.3 points to close at 10,072.4 for the day, whilst SLB and SL20 index also gained by 72.4 points to close at 3,252.2. That was economic news. and the weather report to conclude.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
And finally, the weather report. A few showers will occur in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara-Eliya, Galle and Mathura districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the international weather forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather was cloudy with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was observed to be around 28 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 26 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be 27 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index AQI is 26, which is a fair weather condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms from long-term exposure. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President says Sri Lanka will implement an international trade coordinating office to ease trade agreements and economic partnership complexities. The Australian government has come forward to provide more military training to Sri Lankan security forces in Australia. 2 newly appointed ambassadors to Sri Lanka handed over their credentials to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat today. The chairman of the Elections Commission expresses confidence that the local government elections will be held before the 20th of March 2023. The USAID will provide an additional estimated $65 million in assistance to Sri Lanka over a period of 5 years. The Sri Lankan squad for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup announced. In news overseas, an enormous fire has engulfed a skyscraper in China. And in sports news, Manchester City forward Erling Haaland has been named the Premier League's Player of the Month. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.